Alrighty, welcome to the first of the mini video series explaining the different parts of the planning organizer. In this video, I'm going to briefly explain the steps part, steps. There's a separate video more explaining these parts in more depth for Monday, right? But today I'm just going to focus on steps. And I'm going to be explaining verbally and visually over here what's essentially been written here already. It is your job with steps to determine what are the specific things you need to do in order to achieve your goal and in order to accomplish your action project. It's time to break that down into little tiny actions. And something I suggest is taking a look at your evidence of goal achieved that you determine on Wednesday and working backwards from there. So if you want to end with a group dialogue among people who took a survey related to your issue, well, then what's the second to last thing you need to do in order to get to that point? What's the third to last thing you need to do in order to get to this point? And then you just keep working backwards from step, say 10, if that's your max, to step 1. You don't have to work backwards. That's just something I'm suggesting. If you have a very clear idea of what the first 3 steps are, then start there if that's what feels most natural. I provided 10 rows here just as a template. You can add rows if you want. Right click, insert row below if you need to add more steps. And if you think that you need fewer steps in this, then go ahead and delete some rows. 2, it's whatever number is necessary to accomplish your action plan. Of course, we should all be skeptical if we're sitting in these lower ranges because these are long. Prior to school closure, we had about 2 to 3 weeks scheduled for you to execute your action plans. So take that into consideration for these steps, but also take into consideration that since we won't actually be able to execute these action plans this year, you could, in theory, go longer than 3 weeks if you had the intention of doing this in the future when you might have had more time. Make sure, and I'll go over this in more detail for the Monday video, but make sure that your steps are working as high along the pyramid of action as possible. Make sure your steps aren't getting stuck in educate. At least get to agitate, but at the very best, make sure you're hitting mobilization pretty consistently. Don't get stuck in educate. It's easy to get stuck in educate. Don't get stuck there. Alrighty. Make sure you're getting other people to care about your issue and encouraging them to do the same action that you're doing alongside you and your group. And that's it for steps.